78.6 FM Yomatan, Positive Vibes with Winsome. I wish you guys could have seen everything that I just went through to get to the radio station, get here. Literally, as of me moving the knob so you can see me, I was getting set up because I wanted to work out before the show. And I'll tell you why. Not because I want to come on here with a fresh pump, that too, but I wanted to make sure that my mind was clear. With everything going on right now in my world, which is all good things, no complaints at all, I wanted to make sure that my mind was clear, right? So you start asking that question like, Winston, what do you mean your mind was clear? Well, when you go through the day, and I think I've been paying a lot of attention to folks who are really focused on mindfulness, and that's kind of taking everything, reflecting, and being centered, right? Grounded. And just that's more important to me than anything else coming on this show. We're unscripted. I don't sit here and fake the funk or tell you guys something that's not from experience, from life, or from things that I'm literally going through right now. And so for me, being grounded, resetting before I got on this microphone to talk to my friends, family, and of course, the amazing people here in Yomatan. Well, let me say this. 78.6 FM Yomatan. Welcome back to Positive Vibes with Winsome. Woo! All right. I had to do all that just to get back to that. 78.6 FM Yomatan. Amazing. Tomorrow, you guys know we have a lot of great things going on. Tomorrow morning, I'll be recording live from the production room, and we're going to be talking about how I got here. Not necessarily to Kadena or this room per se, but just in life. I definitely want to talk about the things that I've overcome because I know there's someone maybe going through similar pains, right? And that can use a word of, hey, check this out. It may not be the same thing as me, but pain is pain. And strength, what's inside of you, hoping to help at least one person tomorrow morning overcome whatever they're going through if they're struggling with anything. I want to have the opportunity to address how I battled, beat, defeated, whipped depression, anxiety, obesity. And when you say that, right, people hear me all the time say obesity, they don't believe me. They see me right now. And then I think a lot of my friends saw me at my worst for the first time when I posted this last week. And it was funny because when I put the post out there, it was when I was at my rock bottom in my life. And I was 236, but I guarantee you I was probably at 243, which was mid-heaviest. I think at my heaviest, I was 263 pounds. And the reason I know that for a fact is because you flip it is where I was when I got weighed, I believe, in one of my PT tests, if I'm not mistaken, a mock, which was 236 pounds. So at my heaviest, when I started that journey of I need to beat this, I was 263. When I took the picture, I was 236 pounds. Now I'm what, 180 soaking wet, maybe 185, fluctuate between the two. But that itself was because of depression, because of anxiety, because of self-doubt, because I was beating myself up. I wasn't backing myself. I didn't believe in myself. I had no idea what the world was behind the door that I had created in my life, beyond that door. So I want to talk to folks tomorrow. It's not right now. I'm going to re-engage, right? But I want to talk to folks tomorrow about that journey, because if you are in a dark place right now and you don't think there's any way out, there is. If you don't think that when you wake up tomorrow morning, things can get better, they can. And it's not automatic, it's not magic, it's not going to be something that happens overnight sometimes, but guess what? It's those steps to get there. And I'm gonna put some tools in your toolkit, man, but I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to ruin it. I get excited just thinking about the opportunity that we have tomorrow. So, back. Today we're going to talk about a couple of things, right? First and foremost, we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. And why is emotional intelligence important to me? And I'm going to slow that down a little bit for my friends and family here in Yomatan who are learning English. And I love the fact that I've met so many people that want to learn English. So if you're listening at home, or if you're listening on YouTube, or if you're listening from the Facebook page, this isn't all for you, right? These are from some of our Japanese friends here and Okinawan friends here that are trying to learn English. So check this out. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. If you peel the onion back, go back, we all know but what IQ is, right? And if I have folks in the classroom, I say, what's IQ? Someone normally at that time will say that's how you measure, or someone's measured intelligence, right? What their intelligent quotient is. And then you say, okay, then what is EQ? And people go, oh, well, that's the emotional quotient, right? Because you got the smart kid in the class. Well, it has to be the emotional quotient. For a long time, people said AEI, which is emotional intelligence. And so you'll see a lot of classes out there. And one of the folks I teach for right now calls it EI. EQ, which I love to call it because we know what it is how do you measure your emotional level, your emotional quotient, your emotional. People take tests online and stuff like that, but it's not something that you're just going to be able to measure from taking a test. It's life. And I'll tell you where EQ became important to me. And you may not know this story, so I'm going to break it down to you real quick. In 2020, I don't know if you knew, but we were going through an epidemic, right? And while we were going through that epidemic, which we now have shots for a vaccination for, there was another epidemic going on in the United States and also in other parts of the world, which, of course, were highlighted later. There was a lot of social unrest. There was a lot of movements happening in the United States. So if you're here on the island and you're here like I was with some younger teammates and younger friends who were kind of sad, upset, angry because of the things they were seeing on the news, because of what they're reading about in the paper, because of what they were seeing on TV, they were angry. And then you saw and you heard and you can see their posts and you can hear it in their voice. You can see the way their demeanor was. They were upset. And the sad part about it was some of the more senior humans, and I'm not going to say anything else, didn't know how to approach them. Didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to say, hey, I'm not really sure what I can do for you, but I see you're upset. No, they knew that what they're upset about, but they didn't know how to engage the conversation. So what did I do? The first thing, if y'all know me, you know my heart. I was trying to see what can we do to take care of the younger humans, right? So we started with a webcast. I said, hey, I got folks here. I got folks in other overseas locations. Let's just do like a webcast conversation. People can log in and just vent. Why do you think that was important? Because certain jobs, we can't react, respond, do certain things. We're limited. We have rules. So to allow folks to have a forum to vent, to express those feelings that they've been holding back, feeling nobody's understanding, to be able to put that out there somewhere in the universe meant a lot to some of them. Meant that was like huge for a lot of people. So imagine that, not having an outlet, not having anyone who understands what you're feeling or going through. And even if you did have someone who may kind of understand, they didn't know how to communicate it. That's why emotional intelligence is important to me. Because what we did at that point in time from ground zero, and I'll tell you exactly, from going from the webcast, then we started having conversations, round table. And it wasn't just the younger humans, right? It was humans that didn't look like each other. We had everybody in the room to explain, hey, this is how we take care of each other on this island. This is how we have these conversations. And it opened up other dialogue. The conversations became even greater. And then not too long after that was initiated, because I was passionate about it, then it became a thing. Not just because of my actions, but because folks at higher levels realized we need to really do and say something about this, right? So if you're not tracking, this was in lieu of last year, George Floyd situation, and the list go on. And then, of course, after that, we had Black Lives Matter movement, where a lot of individuals here on the island wanted to be involved, wanted to find an outlet, but they couldn't do much from here. and it was frustrating. They were angry. They were mad, right? And then you realize it's not just our island, it's all over, especially folks who have the same jobs. They were upset, angry, mad, and they needed an outlet because people around them didn't know how to have conversations about it. You can listen, but you can't fix it. You can listen, but you can't return a conversation. You can listen, but conversation isn't going anywhere. So when that was happening, that was when EQ was important. Because all those individuals with high IQs, they can diagnose the situation all day, I'm sure. They can tell you exactly what was going on. They can break down how things played out. But as far as connecting, that was the problem. They couldn't connect. They couldn't put themselves in someone else's shoes. They couldn't empathize. Now, when I say that to you, I want to ask that question too. When I ask you the question about what is empathy, how many people know what empathy is? I'm just asking. Because people think, oh, just to kind of put myself in someone else's shoes. That's not all that empathy is. Empathy is, kind of try to understand what someone else is feeling. That's not all that empathy is. And then there's other aspects of emotional intelligence that you have to know that are important because it all ties together. That makes it important. And if you don't have all of the pieces of the puzzle, then you're not practicing EQ. You're just practicing an aspect of EQ. Now, forgive me because I'm loading up right here because I want to make sure that I give you the full lesson, not just a little piece of it, that I give friends and family when we're back home in the United States and here on the island. So when we're talking about EQ, when we're talking about being emotionally intelligent, it's not just something that you apply at work. Emotional intelligence is something that you apply at home. Imagine if your spouse, male or female, right, understood that you were trying to get to know them on their level. Wow. This person is trying to get to know me on my level. They're not just trying to understand and diagnose based on who they are in their world and as their person, but they're trying to understand who I am based on me. That makes the world of difference for some people because they realize that you're not just being selfish and you're not just trying to take everything as you and from you and of you. You're trying to understand where they're coming from. You're trying to not just put yourself in their shoes, but you're trying to meet them where they're at. And before we close out of here, let me give you an example of what that means. So if you guys saw, I posted on the page that I'm part of the movie Inside Out, right? Wonderful movie for any age. I don't know why people thought it was for kids because it was a great movie. So the movie Inside Out has a part in there where I think his name is Bilbo or Bing Bong, whatever. So Bing Bong loses his favorite wagon. You remember that part? Bing Bong loses his favorite wagon and goes over the hill. He's sitting on the side of the hill and he's sad. And Bing Bong goes, happiness comes. Oh, Bing Bong, hey, it's okay here. Do some push-ups. You're good. Hey, let's go. Bing Bong doesn't respond. Hey, buddy, come on, Chippy. Bing Bong doesn't respond. It wasn't until sadness. Now, remember, this movie's about all the different feelings being characters represented, right? So sadness comes up on Bing Bong. If I got his name wrong, somebody will correct me later. And says, hey, Bing Bong, I understand you and the wagon were close. I can only imagine what you're feeling right now. And Bing Bong, he starts to kind of move a little bit, right? Because somebody is connecting with him. Somebody is meeting him where he's at. Somebody is actually paying attention to the signs of what he's feeling. And they got the cues from him to know that they can't approach him with the same where they're at. They got to meet him where he's at. And what does Bing Bong do? Bing Bong opens up. Because sadness met him where he was at. She didn't have to be sad just to meet him there. She had to recognize what he was feeling. It changed everything. It changed the dynamic of the conversation. He opened up. He was able to tell her what he was feeling. He felt better at the end of that because she empathized with him. 78.6 FM Yoma Time. Positive vibes at Winsome. We're talking about emotional intelligence. We'll be right back after this break. 78.6 FM Yomatan. Positive vibes of Winsome. I jumped in here. I'm super excited. We got so much going on. I came in here from the gym. I was sweating. My teammate helped me get all set up in here. And we were talking about emotional intelligence. My phone wasn't even connected to the Wi-Fi, but I was still telling you about empathy. I'm going to tell you why emotional intelligence is important. I want to reset, re-engage, and talk to you. Understand something. I guarantee you when you wake up in the morning that you experience some sort of emotion. Now, if you're listening to me right now, think about it. Did you go any part of the day without feeling some sort of emotion? No, you didn't. There's no way you did. You experience, on average, right? This is what we teach. An average of what? 456 emotions a day? Think about that. 456 emotions a day. So we have, like, in some places you work or live, even if, say, your wife is pregnant. Imagine how many emotions your wife goes through a day if she's pregnant. Hormones, right? Not in a good mood. Mood jumps from one thing. Imagine that. Now, we're talking about just a normal person, normal day emotions. Then we're talking about a normal pregnant woman and her emotions, right? Think about those things, man. And there are aspects to emotional intelligence you need to know about. And I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything when I was telling you. So we have self-awareness. We have self-regulation. You have motivation. You have empathy, which we've already discussed. And you have social skills. So the biggest thing to understand is you have to, and I'll repeat this. The first part about emotional intelligence, you have to know yourself. You have to know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, how are you supposed to be able to engage with other people if you haven't identified who you are and what triggers you, what you feel throughout the day, how your emotions control your day, right? Your ability to perceive your day in situations is how you deal with people. It includes staying on top of your typical reactions, right? Events, challenges. Say you come home and you got a flat tire, but your kid wants to play catch. Do you take that out on your son because you're triggered by the flat tire? Knowing yourself, what do you have to do to reframe before you engage? Those little things matter. You have to know yourself. So the first piece is self-awareness. I had the doc in here. You guys listened a few months back, right? He was mentioning when you're feeling something, put a name to it. Think about this. When you're feeling something, put a name to it. What is it? Are you sad? Are you tired? Are you upset? Are you disappointed? Are you stressed? Are you just frustrated? Did I already mention that one? You put a name to it. So remember what I also told you in the past, that when you put a name to something, now it's a reality. It's real. It's tangible. Maybe not with your hands, but you can attack it. Because if you don't put a name on it, you have all these emotions swirling around, or more than one at one time. You can't attack what matters. You can't hit a target that you can't see. So if you know yourself, you know your feelings, you know when you're mad, you know what being depressed is, you know what being sad is, you know what being frustrated is, you know when you're tired, you know when you're just being anxious, you know what makes you feel this way. Imagine that, when you understand what makes you feel that way. So self-awareness, get to know yourself under stress. Pay attention to what it does to you. I have my teammate who, of course, teaches this as well, and he talks about your fight, flight, or freeze, right? What your cortisol does, your level, when your hands start sweating when you're under a stressful situation, when your emotions ripple, what causes you to do that? Being self-aware to know what you do under stress. Pay attention to how you respond to compliments. Pay attention to how you respond to positive and negative situations. Understanding those things that help you, man. So you have somebody that tells you that they want you to help them with something, and then you engage, but then you disengage because you focus on what's more important to you. Knowing how your actions affects that other person. Knowing how your actions affects that other person is part of being self-aware as well. You have to know yourself. You have to know what you do and how others perceive you, but you won't know that if you don't know yourself. You won't know what you're really putting out there in the universe and what you're getting back. Self-management. Your ability to use the awareness of your emotions to stay flexible. So you're managing what you know, right? I know if I'm around this person, I withdraw. I know if I'm around this person that my attitude changes, shifts. I don't act the same. I know if this happens, I do this. I get angry. So if you know, manage it. You know you might walk into that situation every day. So how do you kind of prepare yourself? Mental preparation for it. And those are the things people don't consider, man, because they just walk into their day. They don't have any kind of preparation. They don't. They don't even think about how what they do might affect other people. And if you don't pay attention to that, then you're always, always, always letting your IQ overrun your EQ. Developing self-awareness is easy. Know your strengths as well as your weaknesses. Pay attention to compliments and, of course, feedbacks, negative feedback, whatever. How do you respond? You can't know others people or how you are, who you are, if you don't ask for feedback as well. I think that's one piece that's always been missing when you listen. Feedback isn't just something that people tell you, it's what they do. It's those things that happen. Self-awareness. If you're tuned out of every emotion, you'll be poor at reading them in other people. So if you can't identify within yourself what you're feeling, what you're going through, how can you pinpoint what somebody else is feeling or going through? How can you meet them at their level and you don't even know what the level looks like? Those are things people don't consider, they don't pay attention to, they don't care about because they're going through their day. I gave you a scenario when somebody wasn't paying attention to the cues of other people. And people needed them. But they weren't paying attention to the cues because they were so focused on the situation, but they lost focus of how it was affecting the people. So when you do that, when you pay attention to the situation and you're focusing on the people, then you're developing self-care, self-awareness, and understanding. The one thing, too, that's required, we talked about self-awareness. We talked about, empathy. We also talked about how to develop self-awareness, fight, flight, right? Emotional intelligence skills, personal competency, being able to be social is coming up. But also one of the most important pieces when it comes to emotional intelligence is motivation. And I asked this question in a different form. Again, this first time I'm trying this on the radio, so, it'll be cleaned up next time. But listen to me. How can you motivate other people if you can't motivate yourself? I'm going to ask that question again. How can you motivate other people if you can't motivate yourself? Funny thing is that some people don't even realize that they're out there like that. They wake up, I'm just going to go to work, right? They go to work, I just got to get through the day. And then when someone needs them, someone needs that pep talk, someone needs that boost, they can't really give it to them because they don't even have the energy to motivate themselves. That's part of emotional intelligence, self-motivation. Have you noticed the trend here? I want to ask you this question, man. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to say anything interesting or out of line. Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management, your ability to use your awareness of your own emotions and those of others to manage interactions. Remember we talked about that, how you talk to other people, how you control what you're feeling. But listen, to all those things are self. Me. I have to start with me. And if I don't start with me, if I don't start with myself, I'm not growing. I'm not able to grow anyone else because I'm stuck where I'm at. I'm trying to develop my own self. How am I going to develop someone else? How am I going to interact with someone on a level to where they're knowing that I'm emotionally vulnerable to take care of them? How can I help out somebody if I'm not understanding what they're going through or trying to meet them where they're at? So emotional intelligence isn't just about Being smart enough to understand emotions is knowing how to interact with other people once you have a good understanding of those emotions. I went with some little notes and slides and stuff that we use to teach, but that's done with. Being able to motivate yourself so you can motivate others. Being self-aware so you know what triggers you, what pushes you over the edge, what frustrates you, what makes you happy, what brings you back, right? I talked to some students before about music. People don't understand the power of music. So powerful. Puts you in the mood. Did you know if you're sad and you listen to sad music, it's going to keep you sad? You know if you're sad and you listen to upbeat music, it's going to lift your spirits? Think about that. If you're sad and you listen to a song that has an upbeat feeling behind it, and it's all about happiness, what do you think is going to happen to you? You're either going to get happy or feel a little bit of happiness because of that song, what it's triggering in your brain, or you're going to shut it off because you want to be soaking in your feelings and you want to be emotional. These are all things we have to think about. There's power in what we do. What we put into ourselves mentally and physically is going to correspond with what we put out there into the universe. And what you feed your mind. So you feed your mind negativity. All that news last year, I used that as an example. All that bad news all year. If I was feeding my mind with nothing but the bad news, that's all I would have been giving people that needed me. And not just me, but the folks who I'm trying to arm up to be there. We need to be there for each other as well. So I was like, hey, stop looking at the news. I don't know how many times I said that last year. Stop watching the news. Because when you wake up to that, you're waking up with a negative mindset. You got to put yourself in a better place, right? So think about those things moving forward. Are you aware of your own emotions before you can try to pay attention and pinpoint others? Are you aware of how you respond to things so that you can understand how others might respond to things? Are you meeting people where they're at using empathy? Are you able to motivate yourself so that you can motivate others? All of these things matter with emotional intelligence. That's just a quick dry run. I gave you this. I skipped over a lot of stuff just to give that to you. 78.6 FM Yoma Time. Positive vibes of Winsome. Be right back. .6 FM Yoma Time. Positive vibes with Winsome. I'm back. My mind is all over, but it's good stuff. I'm so excited. Tomorrow we get to do the show, talking about it, telling the story. Hopefully change somebody's life, man. Today's show, not a throwaway, but I just want to throw some emotional intelligence out there, give you kind of a precursor to when we do like an in-depth setup, bam, big scale. That's probably coming in the next week or so. But those are some of the basics about self-care, man. Sorry. Emotional intelligence. Look at me. I told you. Emotional intelligence. So think about that, man. Are you self-aware of who you are? Are you managing your own emotions before you manage others? Are you paying attention to how you interact with other people? and how that feedback, are you paying attention to the feedback you get from others? Are you making yourself emotionally vulnerable when needed so that people know they can come to you? And so that you can meet people where they're at. You have to be emotionally vulnerable enough to meet someone where they're at emotionally. That's called empathy. You can't fake it. Let me tell you something about people. People see you, man. They know if you're genuine or not. You can't fake it. And again, it's not just work. This is home. You got to meet people. You got to be guys, girls. You have to be vulnerable sometimes. And I don't mean that in a way to leave your guards down and let people jab at you. No, I mean so where when someone's going through something, or if you're trying to help, you have to try to figure out a way to connect. You got to find a way. You got to pay attention to the cues because people leave them all over the place. There's cues and clues all over. Listen, right? Socially aware, relationship management, self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and motivation. So at work, yeah, I'm the coach, right? Woo, let's go. Boom, boom, clap. Let's get it. Let's do it. 100% though, when it comes to motivation, I will not try to motivate someone else if I haven't been able to motivate myself that day. I won't. I'll shut my door for a minute until I regroup and get my mind right. 78.6 FM Yoma Time, positive vibes with Winsome. We're talking about emotional intelligence, right? I saw I got distracted for a minute. There's some folks walking by the window. That was really cool, really cute. But listen to me. EQ, EI, if depending on who's teaching it. Major Nell, thank you for dropping all the knowledge that you had. Hopefully I can get you in here before you leave. That is my EQ, EI mentor. We were literally exploring different parts of the island, teaching the same lesson. His is definitely a lot more in depth than mine, but amazing. Both when we teach it, we always get great feedback. When we teach it for real, right? I just gave you snippets just now because we're on the radio, but when we teach it for real, we always get great feedback. So that's something that's out there. It's real. It's a real thing. There's a book, I believe it's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0, unless they have an upgrade from there. Check it out, man. It help you at home and at work, people. I promise you. But you know the third segment, I can't keep it talking about EQ, EI, is always dedicated to the Air Force Wounded Warriors Wellness and Resiliency Team. This week they did something, Wellness Wednesday. And I'm going to tell you why I loved Wellness Wednesday. I think Jen was walking with her camera, and she was doing a video of getting out and doing something, just moving. And you guys know me. No matter what, just keep moving. Do something. I'm that guy. You never see me sit still except for when I'm in a booth, right? Even then I'm running my mouth, right? So 78.6 FM Yoma Time, positive vibes of Winsome. Positive vibes is not just about this. It's not just about topics. It's about doing things that makes you happy. Or should I say makes you happy? Put an S on there. What is it? Wellness Wednesdays. They're getting out and doing something that's good for their bodies, good for their mind. Walking, running, lifting. If you haven't been able to do it all week up to that point, that's hump day. Get yourself over hump day with something with wellness. So I love the concept. Jen, thank you for posting that and sharing that with everyone. And that team, man, if you guys aren't tracking the Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team, they're an amazing group of people. And they're amazing warriors that are in that group and that are struggling with some really big things. And they rely on each other. They lean on the team, and the team is always caring and loving to them. So always a shout out to you guys, man. I can't thank you enough for the opportunities to give back and do more. Tomorrow, hopefully I can share and give you guys some love on a live show and tell you exactly how much you've changed my life over the last couple of months. Not necessarily from being in the group, of course, but just from allowing me to participate. And the things that I've seen from this perspective, it's been amazing. So anyway, tomorrow, Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team, thank you. Tomorrow, we'll be in a booth in a different booth, talking about my story. It's called Still Standing. And I'll post it out there. And we just talked about being emotionally vulnerable. The stories, when I told this one time to a group of airmen last year, one of my leaders asked me to teach it or speak on it. I wouldn't say teach it. It's just literally speaking my life. And the feedback I got back, because no one had ever seen anyone at my level of rank or position that was that vulnerable in a long time. And some of them had never seen it because they were new and young. But for me, it was draining. Because remember, you have to relive all of that. It's not in, people say it's power in reliving. No, it's, you're getting it out there, you're reliving it, but you're speaking life, but you're just still, you have to relive it to speak it from your heart. Relive it mentally so you can really connect people to what you're feeling. It's not just words, guys. There's power in words. I remember going home that night and I just crashed. I was mentally spent. But I'm going to do it because I know it's important. And I know it doesn't make me feel any kind of way, like I'm not sad anymore, I'm not upset anymore, but it's you're drained at the end of that. You give whoever's listening everything you have because you know it's going to change someone's life. If we have 70 people in a room, I don't care. If one person walks away feeling better, I'm happy. It's always, every time. I don't care how small the group is. If we got 5 people in the room, it's the same. 2 people, it's the same. If one person walks away changed, realizing that they're not alone, realizing that that place that they thought they'd never come out of, that hole, that they can, realizing that that little spark that's in their chest is actually a fire waiting to grow. If I can share that with someone and spark that flame again, open those doors again, brighten those lights, I see those eyes light up, that's when I know. But on the radio, I can't see you. So I got to give it everything I have. So I'm exactly what I'm going to do on a Sunday here in Okinawa. I'm going to give you everything I have. I saved some, right? You notice my energy. I'm using slides today. I'll never use little slides to speak to anything. I'm always impromptu and just here and present with you, right? Which is being in the moment. Mindfulness, whenever I'm on this radio, I'm just in the moment with you. But today I'm trying to save some rounds for tomorrow. Don't let my bosses hear that in the radio. I'm trying to save some rounds for tomorrow because it's important. Because when we're here, we're speaking life. People realize, why do people listen to the radio? Have you ever paid attention to the history of the radio? You guys remember the story of War of the Worlds? There's power in words. And if you don't know the story of War of the Worlds, I can't wait to tell you about it. Google it, look it up. It is crazy how radio stations, the power and influence they used to have back in the day. And they're still around so we can speak life into you. And of course, it depends on what stations you're listening to. You could be listening to something that likes to speak drama or gossip or watching those podcasts or not watching, listen to the podcast or watching little YouTube videos of the drama. Some people love drama. It is what it is, but not here. 78.6 FM Yoma Time, positive vibes with Winsome. I had a conversation. I might have to push with Colonel Shabazz tomorrow or Dr. Shabazz. Next weekend, we're still talking to Will Brooks. Me and my boy Robbie. Robbie, I see you, man. Appreciate you. I know you ain't feeling well, brother, but hey, I'll check on you after the show's over. Hope you feel better. But listen to me. We got an interview next weekend with Will Brooks. Hopefully he tells you a little bit about his journey. I'm going to share that, of course. But there's never a day, never a moment. www. Positive Vibes Radio Show. You can email me, throw some thoughts out there and see if you want to have a conversation, throw some dialogue back and forth. I don't mind. I'm here for it. I'm here for you. I don't do this just to waste anybody's 45 minutes. We're trying to speak life. We're trying to engage with someone, trying to get someone to think outside of their norm, to be better than yesterday. 78.6 FM Yoma Time. A lot of cool stuff happening. So we're doing a live show, hopefully twice a month, maybe more. We got this, of course, going on YouTube. Check us out. But most importantly is the opportunity to speak from the heart. So I thank everybody who's been listening, all my Facebook friends who've been paying attention. 15,000 people clicked on the video to listen to tomorrow's story. So I don't know how it's going to turn out on the back end, but I know someone's looking and clicking. That's all I needed to know. Okay, 15,000 people, somebody better have their life changed after hearing, because I'm putting it all out there. I'm more extra vulnerable. I'm literally just putting my heart right there on the table, like, here it is, right? And I don't sit here and think about topics all month, all week. We had quarterly topics that I remember drawing out last quarter. But right now, where we're moving in direction, everything's new. I'm so excited. Don't count this as a throwaway, but count this as a spacer, because I'm trying to get my mind prepped for tomorrow. And so this was cool. You learned a little bit about EQ, EI, threw some facts at you. No music, just me running my mouth, but 100% tune into the video. And it may not be for you. It may be for someone else. It may be for someone who needs words to inspire them. It may be for someone who needs words to motivate them. Someone who's in a dark place that doesn't know how to get out of it. It may be for somebody who doesn't communicate to you how they're feeling. They don't think that you're vulnerable enough, right? But I'm going to give them tools for their toolkit. I'm going to tell them some things they can do. Tell them how to fight back. Take your life back. Mine's just a story. But I swear to you, I hold the pen. And I'm not letting it go. I refuse to let anything else control my life. And I'm also going to talk about something that's really near and dear to me. Sometimes you have to tell your brain to shut up. Listen to me when I tell you that. Sometimes you have to tell your brain to shut up. My heart was here first. Did you know that? I'm going to talk to you about that more tomorrow, too. I can't wait to share that with you. And I promise it won't be like EQ or EI where I'm bouncing. It's going to be straight, structured conversation from the heart. It's a story. The things I stood on and how I took leaps of faith. How I didn't listen to other people because I knew they was going to take me a bunch of different directions. I had to focus on me, my finish line, Miss Linda. My lane, my world, because it's my tomorrow. You are loved, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. I can't wait to talk to you. Can't wait to drop this. Remember, you got 3 ways doing this now. YouTube here. You got Facebook, which is Positive Vibes 78.6 FM is the Facebook link. Or you can go to www.positivevibesradioshow.com. But 78.6 FM Yomaton has been an amazing family. And if the only requirement is to be positive and the show is called Positive Vibes, I'm here for it. Let's go. We got this. Positivity. A lot of cool things happening in different groups. So we got classes that we're teaching online. We got, it's really exciting right now. So I'll be dropping all of that out there so I don't have to come here and explain it all the time. Just look it up. I promise it won't be a waste of your time. And if it is, tell me. I need some feedback too so I know what to put out there next time, right? Like I mentioned in the briefing, can't do nothing if you don't get feedback. Because without feedback, you can't grow. You can't give yourself feedback. You got to get it from others. 78.6 FM. See you next week.